Christopher Schindler has a chance to write his name in Huddersfield Town legend. And he takes that chance!
The bell tolls for yet another managerial casualty at Huddersfield Town. Welcome to Andy Takes That Chance, episode 37, Dead Jan walking. Jan Siewert has left Huddersfield Town after a record of 1 win, 3 draws, 15 defeats in 19 games. Is it good timing or 7 months down the pan? Town have now won 4 games in their last 55, not won on a Saturday since April 2018, and haven't come from behind to win a game since beating Preston at home since Easter 2017. Joining me, Matt, to talk about this in more detail is Richard Kosi will get fired into the new manager and the games past and present, amongst other things.
I'm a dead man walking, hell's at my door. I'm a shadow of the man I was before.
Right, Kosi, a good place to start would be the Fulham game. Fulham on Friday night on the Sky cameras. Happy days. Back on it's like we've never been away from the Premier League. A Premier League fixture last year, and the stats bear pretty ugly reading for Huddersfield. I thought for 20 minutes in that game in the first half we did all right. A little bit of possession here and there. Lewis O'Brien breaking in the box had a chance and checked back instead of getting the shot off. A couple of little things, but other than that, we're probably clutching a little bit. Possession shows 65% to 35% to Fulham. They've dominated possession. Shots, Huddersfield had 1 on target, which they scored from. 6 shots overall to Fulham's 17. Fouls, pretty even. And Fulham had more corners as well. So a dominant performance, I guess, from Fulham. As Scott Parker said, they dominated for 90 minutes. Disagree with that. I thought for 20 minutes we were okay. But for a good over an hour, 70 minutes, Fulham were only going to win that game, Kosi.
Totally agree. I thought, I think got back in the gas, I'm sure the second half was, I think they had 80-20 or something like that, Fulham had. Yeah. I thought first half, I just thought half time, it was just a matter of could Fulham turn up. Fulham surely couldn't be as bad as that second half. I thought, surely they're going to come up with a bit more than that. I was quite shocked how poor they were, to be honest with you, because a lot of impressive names on the back of the shirts, a lot of, kind of transfer fees paid, but as we know with our kind of ailing squad, it's not about how much you pay, it's about what they do. So yeah, no surprise whatsoever. Probably the only surprise was that we equalised, and what a great goal it was too. A bit of luck that Jan kind of lacked. Obviously, I suppose we've had goal line technology for a bit now, so. But it was quite far over, to be honest, wasn't it? I don't know what you thought at the time. I thought he was touching goal.
I thought he clawed it away. I wasn't really jumping up and down.
Brilliant header, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Who put the cross in? I must admit.
Do you know what? I give this guy stick. Flo Hadjian as a footballer. I think he's been poor this season, but that was a cracking ball that he put in. Yeah. And right on Karlan Grant's head. I thought Karlan Grant was really poor up until that moment as well. Really isolated, a lot of problems of his own making, but that's why you have him in the side every week, because you put the ball in the box and he's going to pop up. That's essentially why you need to play Karlan Grant. Good header. It seemed to, because we were sat together, weren't we?
Yep.
And it just seemed to loop and in slow motion. It was almost like a slow-mo, where they replay it, as it's going over the line on Sky. And it looked like Bettinelli had saved it. But when you looked at it back, he missed it with his arms. It's hitting, I think, post, chest, bit of both, and it's quite far over the line. So it's interesting. It's good. It shows that technology works, doesn't it? I'm not a fan of VAR so far in the Premier League, but I think that goal line technology is top class, and it leaves you in no doubt as to whether the ball's crossed the line.
But such is my kind of, I think it's just because we've took so many blows, punch after punch. I'm just punch drunk like pretty much everyone else. And although we equalised, I just thought, and we'll come on last night obviously later on, but I just thought, instead of thinking, right, we're going to win it, I just thought we'll find a way to lose this. We'll lose. And
for a couple of minutes, we were all right after that. Yeah. The players seemed to pick themselves up, and we had a go. And then Fulham just took the ball, knocked it round a couple of times at the back, and just took the sting out of us so quickly.
I mean, what a goal! The quality we're building on the goal, and we've just got, obviously, that was a quality goal. To be fair to ours, but I suppose that's what you pay the big bucks for. As soon as, I mean, obviously we were at a bad angle, weren't we? Top tier, the Riverside. But as soon as he bent it, obviously we didn't know where it was going to end up, but we had a feeling, didn't we? And I just watched the keeper.
It was a blow for me as well, because all summer I really, really desperately wanted to sign Cavaliero, and he's obviously, if it's a choice between us and Fulham, he's going to pick Fulham. But it was disappointing to see him, bend that one into the top corner. Great finish. And to be honest, he hadn't really impressed me up until that point last night, or that night. He seemed a little bit off it. I thought Fulham were a little bit off it.
I thought knockout was normally brilliant against us. I thought he had a really poor game, and there were times where you just kind of looked, and what's Bobby Reed's new name? He's got an amazing kind of counter name now.
It sounds like a province in Spain, doesn't it? It's like Dick Cordova or something.
But it's not bad when you can bring guys like that on as well. But and it was all very predictable, really. I mean, the feeling around the grounds in Huddersfield before the game, and everybody were just knowing that Jan were a dead man walking. It were flat.
Jan walking, as I said. Yeah,
well done there. Got that one in, but
I have to keep getting that, and I don't get many good ones.
I just thought, everybody knew that we probably wouldn't win, but all people wanted to see was a bit of fight after the debacle against Lincoln City. I think we got that, but ultimately we were just not as good as them, and no one really, where we were sat, well, there was no real anger, was there? To be honest, it was almost accepted, and I think obviously Phil, his eyes obviously tells you everything we needed to know, so it was no surprise.
It was lined up. Do you think Jan Siewert, right decision for you?
Yeah, and you know what? I would have given him the start of the season. Now, I've had a lot of non-town fans coming to me, well, why didn't they, get rid of him in the summer and things like, that as well. They could have given the new man, and there is an argument for that, into the supporters. But I just felt that he had a chance, I think, to try and do something a little bit different. And I think what was quite surprising to me is that the pre-season games, again, you've said it a few times, Matt, when we recorded some of these earlier ones, you don't read too much into the pre-season, but I was kind of buoyed a little bit by it. We were, winning games and kind of at least, forming a little bit of a, structure. But as soon as the first game, it was so brittle as confidence. We've lost so many games. It was. I always feel sorry for people. I'm not as ruthless as others would do. I'd be no good as like a chief exec. But when I saw it, we were sat obviously above him, and I just took a look at him when Mitch and what's his name, who scored the goal. They were running off towards the away end, and I felt for Jan, because we knew that was it, didn't we? We knew it.
As soon as he walked down the tunnel, that was it. You knew that was the last time you were going to see him. We knew, everyone knew that was Jan's chance, last chance gone. And I feel for the guy. I genuinely really liked Jan Siewert as a and the way he talked about football. He talked a good game, and he just couldn't get that across. But I did Did he do his interview on Sky? Sorry, Matt. Did he do his interview on Sky after? No. Well, didn't do there we go. Just pretty much packed his bag and went back to Germany straight away. But I did a little bit for the Huddersfield Examiner about whether it was just it's like I wrote an article, but it wasn't really. It was just the fan panel stuff, and essentially what I thought at the time, and I still do, is that Stephen Chicken did a good article sort of saying Jan Siewert, the right man at the wrong time, and I kind of concur a little bit like that, because he's a really incredibly inexperienced manager, even less so than David Wagner. He's got less of a playing career to draw back on, less of a coaching career as well. And he was parachuted into an impossible situation at the wrong time. I remember me saying the three men I wanted at the time were Peter Sturger, Stefan Baumgart, and Philip Koku, I think were the three. Once, so it needed like I keep saying, it needed a manager, not a coach, somebody to steer us out of choppy waters, if you like. And once the players had turned, which was quite quickly, it's only going to be a matter of time before the fans and your board follow suit, and all of a sudden there's a witch hunt against the manager. He had 7 months to put a stamp on the squad, and we kept mentioning it, Kosi, on this pod as well, that whereas he might not have been adequately supported in the transfer window, if you like, he failed to really galvanise, re-energise a team. They didn't get any form of bounce or anything like that. And you could argue that he's misused the time in the Premier League as well, because he seemed to be chucking players into strange formations and strange systems. And really, what he probably should have been doing is bedding stuff down rather than just flittering and going back and forth. And everything just seemed so wishy-washy. And I just felt like he'd maybe, his inexperience meant that he'd misused the time in the Premier League when he kept saying, I'm going to learn. Remember your rank, Kosi? We were saying, I need to now learn about these players. And that was like April time. It's like, he should have already known about those players quite quickly, and he should have been bedding those players into a system and a style that would have got the best out of them. But he never did that. He just kept chopping, changing. Brought Danny Williams on for 5 seconds. There were just so many little red flags going up all the time. And for me, he misused that time. And I'm sad to see him go because you don't like it when something doesn't work. But there's so many red flags along the way when you sort of look back, and you kind of kid yourself, don't you, over pre-season that the players look happy and everyone seems okay. And but obviously, like I say, you can't read too much into it. But Jan Siewert for me, good luck to the guy. I hope he goes on to have a good career. But when Tommy Elphick said after he'd gone that it's going to take 2 to 3 years to bed in Jan Sievert's philosophy, you don't get that luxury in football, I'm afraid.
No, I totally agree. I think the thing that really shocked me, I mean, we've seen obviously so many town managers come and go, but I've very rarely seen dissent, just obvious, clear dissent things. I mean, there's obviously well documented. We've heard, Phil Billings' comments and others, about maybe how they've been treated in the backroom staff. But it was incredible. I thought Bakuna, throwing his top about. We had
Bakuna had a shocker against Fulham.
It was shocking, but almost like you were saying, it's almost like he's trying to get him sacked. You said that, didn't you?
Yeah,
incredible.
Like players look like they're playing to get the manager sacked with some of the performances.
But should he have been brought off at half time, Matt? We were saying
shouldn't have played, mate. He shouldn't have played after QPR and previous ones as well against Derby. He shouldn't have been on the field.
But then Pritchard, I mean, when he went off, Jan tried to shake his hand and he just brushed him off. He was just clear. Mutiny really, and that as well. I didn't think Congolo were putting it all in, big call maybe, but I didn't think he would, running and sprinting as fast as he could. Maybe that would have been deceptive, but he was clear. I was quite shocked really, just thinking, wow, I'm seeing from my eyes.
You got to Van La Parra's Instagram post as well, and half the squad are liking this post as well, which again is just not on for. But
what we're dealing with, I mean, we're dealing with Premier League football as well, in inverted commas, that have been last few seasons. We're dealing with a lot of egos, a lot of people. It's not, not like what we had before. Like, John Worthington's, etc. Makaliski's, the guys that are proper Huddersfield lads. These are proper guys on thousands and thousands of pounds, just blatantly, to me, not giving everything they should for Huddersfield Town. And it would just clear, do you take the view that, it's all because of Jan? Because I think the worry is for me with some supporters, and a lot has been said, obviously, after the sacking, but that's it, he's gone, brilliant. It's almost like, right, Huddersfield Town are going to magically, rise up the table.
There is
now
no
and that
silver
as well.
bullet. There is no silver
Man,
bullet.
we're in the right mess, mate. We've won, what is it? Just reel off the stats. Is it
4 in 55.
4 in 55.
55.
We're absolutely punch drunk. We've forgotten how to win football matches. David Wagner, the king of Huddersfield, maybe our best manager behind Herbert Chapman, he couldn't sort it. Jan couldn't sort it. Yeah, we don't want to say too much about Mark Hudson, less than a week and what have you, but there were familiar failings last night, which we'll come on to in a bit, but it's bigger than one man. This is a massive issue, and I think people got to wake up and think it's not all to do with Jan Siewert.
There was a tweet last night from Juliet Ferrington, who went to the Stoke game, and this is what she said about Stoke City, and I saw this last night. I like Juliet Ferrington, I think she's really good, and something that she said last night, because she went to watch Stoke City. Stoke City are in a similar position to us, although they're
keeping us off the bottom, aren't they?
Yeah. So Nathan Jones, she said, she's put in the tweet, but Nathan Jones went on to say, Stoke City, since I've come here, there's been a hangover of players wanting to leave, players thinking they are proper players wanting to go and play in Europe, players thinking of their international careers. There hasn't been a group here together who wants to play and focus and win games for Stoke City. That's a problem, so we really have had to fight through stuff. And for me, that could have she could have changed Stoke City to Huddersfield Town, Nathan Jones Jones to Jan Siewert, and it's the exact same situation. And for me, the players, there's rumours of more players that will now want to leave as well, and this is going to get worse before it gets better. You feel that this is going to get worse before it gets better, and some players, whether we like them or not, we don't know exactly who these 5 players are. We could probably have a good idea. But there are players in that squad that weren't playing for Jan Siewert and are not playing for Huddersfield Town Football Club. And they need to, even if there's going to be a short-term sharp pain, these players need to go as soon as possible. I'm not going to speculate on who they are. I've got a good idea of who some of them may be, but they need to be farmed out as soon as possible. If they're in the first 11, then it's more difficult. If they're on the periphery and they're not playing, they need to go in this European window, either on loan, take a cut fee, or maybe don't take as much as what you want. But that toxicity, if you like, around the squad is not good for anybody, and that is costing us more than maybe an extra million or two that we get in a different window. And we really need to get shut of several players who are causing this issue, and move on without them as soon as possible. And moving on for us, we'll move on to Mark Hudson and Cardiff City. Mark Hudson came in, he said he wants to put his stamp on things. In my opinion, he's gone back to putting round pegs in round holes. I thought one of the problems with Jan Siewert is his persistence in 4-3-3. It's a system I like, 4-3-3, if it's done correctly. He didn't have the players for it. He's forcing players into certain positions and things weren't happening. Mark Hudson's gone back to a 4-2-3-1, which you could argue probably suits... I wouldn't say it suits us most, but I think that suits us far better than the 4-3-3. It puts Pritchard back into a natural position for him. It adds more support to Karlan Grant, and it allows you to play two wingers rather than forcing Pritchard into a pigeonhole, if you like, out on flank. Cardiff City lost 2-1. For me, I tweeted during the game last night, and I just thought our right-hand side was atrocious. Anybody who listens to this will know that I have never liked Flo Haderjanai. I try and rein it in a little bit, but last night Haderjanai was beaten every single time by Murphy. He was walking past him. He didn't block a single cross. There was absolutely nothing from Mbenza. Our right-hand side was an absolute shocker. And Stephen Chicken from The Examiner again, if you don't follow him, do so. He's very, very good. He showed some interesting heat maps which showed that Flo's gallivanting down the flank is causing Elphick to come around and cover out of position, which in turn wraps the back four around into a three and then causes Jonathan Hogg to drop out of midfield as well. And it constantly skews the whole shape. And you have to think for what as well, because he's put one good crossing out of the last 200, if you like. And for me, the back four needs to... There are a number of things highlighting for me at the minute, and one is the back four is obviously far from solid. We need to solidify that back four, and for me, Flo Haderjanai can't be part of it. He's flying up and down the flank. Fair enough, it's what he's good at. If we go to a back three and play with wing backs, then fine. But in a back four, Haderjanai, for me, I'm struggling with it. Really, I'm struggling with it. And it's causing an imbalance in the complete back four. Even if you hold him back, his defending is not good enough to then keep out a winger on the other side. I'm really struggling with that one. Tommy Elphick, I personally think it's making Tommy Elphick look worse than what he probably is as well. Two players I thought came out with credit of the game. Kamil Grabara has maybe slipped under the radar a bit because he made some great saves against QPR. I was right behind him at QPR in the lower tier, and he made some great saves. And again, he's done the same against Fulham, and he's done the same last night against Cardiff. I think Kamil Grabara has had a really strong start. And also, you've got to throw in as well Trevoh Chalobah. I thought he had a great game as well last night. He really dominated parts of that midfield. Scored a fantastic goal as well, which I didn't see coming either. So there are plus signs there from Mark Hudson's first game, but what we've seen again is especially the last 20-30 minutes, mate, whereby we have completely wilted. People are trying to put this down to fitness, but I genuinely think it's nothing to do with fitness. It's all to do with confidence. And with 20-30 minutes to go, we're on for a point. We're on for a win against QPR. We're on for a point against Fulham. We're on for a draw at Cardiff, and we are wilting every game without fail. Only Derby, who sat back on the edge of their own boxer, but could have won that game at a canter if they'd have wanted. The last 20-30 minutes, we are looking spent, and for me, Kosi, that's a real concern.
Totally agree. I can't not disagree with much of that. I think I just don't understand. Again, I watched it last night with Gailey when we got back from Scarborough, and we sat there and can have to get being opened because we were just sunk in the sofas, just like, we can't believe what's going on. First thing to say, like I always seem to say, the fans were awesome. all I could hear was
503.
incredible. The noise, though, you know, to say how bad we were, it was just incredible. And that as well.
Neil, who's can't be with us tonight, put a tweet out saying that support's great, and I wholeheartedly concur with that. 503. You know, you don't get many Huddersfield fans that are in South Wales.
No.
So to take a day off from work or school or whatever,
get back at 3
and
or
to get back, even if you go on a coach or whatever, it's fantastic commitment. So really commend anybody that made that trip. That's really top stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
fantastic.
Mark Hudson, again, I don't want to kind of kick someone down already, but, and I quote, they've taken on board what I've asked of them. We showed some of our style and we were brave. Really? Style? Bravery? Didn't see any of that. Maybe saw some from Camille in the goals, but apart from that, I thought we were awful. Jonathan Hogg, have you ever seen him have a worse game than that?
Yeah, Spurs away. I haven't seen Jonathan Hogg play well since David Wagner left. Genuinely haven't seen Hoggy play well since Wagner left.
He just can't pass to anyone in our team. I'm not even asking for much, you know. It's just
he's on the he's one of our most experienced. I absolutely love Jonathan Hogg. Everyone loves Jonathan Hogg. He's one of our most experienced players, and we need people like him to be a shining light. You know, trying to. I have no doubt that he's trying his very, very hardest to get us out of this situation, but he's out of form. When your experienced players like Hoggy are out of form like this, Tommy Elphick, experienced player, hasn't started great, but the issues to that, which I've alluded to earlier about having to cover on the right hand side, the experienced players here are on the floor confidence wise, and you've got the young players like Chalobah and Grabara are our shining lights, if you like, at the minute. And it shouldn't be that way, that the young new players are pulling the older, more experienced players along. And I like Jonathan Hogg a lot. There's a lot to like, and I hope he can, you know, rediscover a little bit of form, but he is definitely struggling at the minute, mate.
I think commentator summed it up best when he said, believe it or not, that these are two Premier League teams, you know, 20 minutes in, because the game were pretty dreadful, wasn't it? They're scrappy. There were just no quality whatsoever.
Cardiff do that, don't they? I think that's their MO, if you like. They take it to that area.
Yeah.
But we had absolutely nothing in response.
Well, nothing, no. I mean, how did the guy miss that opportunity? Well, incredible. What a miss. I mean, obviously, it were really difficult with only one camera or two cameras at best, wasn't it, where we were watching. But part of me thought, surely that's offside, but it wasn't. And he missed an absolute sitter. I mean, I tweeted at half time. So the only good thing about this first stats being that we can't see any replays.
Robert Glatzel, isn't it, the German who recommended to Huddersfield by Dale Marsden was Robert Gladstone. So I'm going to blame Dale for that miss. It was worse than Steve Mounier. So.
It was a horrendous miss as well. And again, everything about watching Town, you just knew what was going to happen. You knew they were going to score before the first half. Then totally out of the blue, I was laughing when we scored. It was just hilarious. It's
a brilliant strike. Brilliant goal.
You were like a crab, wasn't it, Chalobah? Just like crabbing across the box, and then beautiful shot. Bottom corner. I was buzzing for them.
He's a quality player.
Yeah.
He's Trevor Chalobah.
I'm buzzing for them fans, because when you make these away days, everyone knows you want something at least just to shout about. So I was pleased they had the moment. But again, after that, nothing really changed apart from they just like knocking on the door. The free kick. I mean, stupid decision from Moores for the foul. Should have scored. And there was nothing more obvious in my mind that we were going to lose that. I knew we wouldn't hang on. I knew we wouldn't get a job, because we're absolutely mentally shot. We're mentally shot, and it's more than Jan Siewert. We are mentally shot, and
it goes straight through the club, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It goes straight through the club, does this?
It does. Which manager worth of salt's going to want to take it on, Matt? Obviously, there's going to be suitors, but I just see a massive... There's a real crisis, isn't there? I genuinely believe there's a lot of Town fans thought, right, Siewert, is the big issue, and some of the players kind of get away scot-free, but Isaac and Benza, what kind of a performance for that last night? The guy looks like he's never played football. Honestly, his performance... If I'm being
brutally honest, it looks like we've gone and signed a lot of track sprinters and tried to turn them into footballers.
Yeah, honestly.
That's been brutally cruel. That's what it looks like.
What did he offer?
I'm sure there's so much more there than what they're showing. There's probably confidence issues. I think one of them might have been burgled. I can't remember which one it was. And Benza or Diakabi got burgled. I can't remember who that was when they moved over. There's settling issues, maybe. The young lads moving to a new country. There's all sorts of reasons why they may be like this that we're probably not privy to, and we can only speculate. But we need... Isaac and Benza is not showing himself to be a player that was signed for over 10 million. Not last night. Not last season. There's flashes, mate. there are little crosses in the box. There's the goal against Man United. There's every so often there's a flash where you think, I've just seen something which you could put together on a highlights reel, and you think, oh, and you've got 2 minutes worth of a player looking all right. But I'm not seeing it, mate. I'm really struggling with it, and other players which you've come to rely on over the years, such as Kachunga and whatnot, are out of form as well. So what do you do? It's a tough one. It's a tough one, but I've had enough of talking about Cardiff now. I think I've said it. The Cardiff winning goal came from what I've said with Haderjanai upfield and not tracking back, and the three wrapping round, and Elphick and Schindler in positions they don't want to be in. And you know what? It's a lucky deflection, the goal, but you can't argue and say Cardiff didn't deserve it. So, que sera.
Yeah, I mean, we've got to mention, I think you touched him a little bit, Trevo Chalobah. I thought he was brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about brilliant, it's probably a bit exaggerated.
Compared to everyone else.
Yeah, he had quality, and that's something that we just not got. We've got it in his goals, I think, and he was just fantastic in that as well. I mean,
he's a proper defensive midfielder for me in that he's a shield. He can play centre back as well. He can defend. He's good in the air. He's quick. He's fast. He's very quick to second balls, and he can play. And when we were linked with him initially, and it was a permanent, I was very adamant. I think it was linked like 400 grand or something. And if that is the case, sign this player, because he will be a cracking player in 2 or 3 years. He will be a really good footballer if he settles down and plays for a while. Genuinely will be good.
I know it's not all obviously about luck, and we're not very good, but a couple of things I just remember on Friday, Fulham, I thought maybe there were a little bit of a push leading up to the goal. For Fulham. And then,
it looked more obvious from our side, but when you watch it on TV, it's not as obvious, is it?
Yeah, I've not seen a replay. And then last night, the deflection off Schindler. I mean, when we were bossing it in the Championship 2016-17, that they'd gone out for a corner, wouldn't it? That'll probably come back off the guy and gone for a dead ball. But when he looks out, and he just looks one complete mess. Someone put a good tweet out. It's just like, we've forgotten how to win a game. We've forgotten how to do what you need to do to win. And you're thinking of Saturday, and obviously memory's going to be evoked with Reading out. God, how different does it feel from these two clubs from when they played last? But it's... I'm really worried. Are you? Really, really worried? Or shall we just say it's early days like everyone else seems to be? No,
it's not, because it is early days, but from what we've seen so far, there is a lot to worry about. There's a huge malaise over this football club, and the next appointment needs to be... is really key. This next appointment, if Huddersfield Town Football Club get the next one wrong, then there's a very real chance that we'll be in League One next year. But if we get it right, then there's no reason why we can't, someone to turn it round. There's no reason why we can't then head up the table, because the players are capable. We know the players are capable. Terence Congolo has been called up to the Dutch international squad, 28 squad, the train-on squad. They're not bad players there.
Do we need someone in before Luton, Matt, or what? Well, who have you been hearing this week? All I've heard is usual suspects, although, was it Dan Petrescu?
Yeah, we'll do the manager thing. Yeah. We'll close it off, and we'll close it off. But we'll move on now. Neil's not here, sadly, but that doesn't mean we can't have a little bit of...
Hi, I'm Sean Jarvis, and welcome to the Danger Zone.
Yeah, this week's Danger Zone winner is Ian Holloway. What an absolute danger. On Sky Sports, the debate programme, making a really good point about the handball situation with Gabriel Jesus' goal for Man City, and saying that obviously you can't disallow goals for that but give penalties for it, etc. It's really good point. And then he goes and absolutely ruins it by saying And another thing, we've got to get out of Brexit. We've got to leave. Well, that's what we voted for. Ian, what's that got to do with it? What's that got to do with handball in the box, stopping goals, giving penalties? Either way, whatever you think about that, what has it got to do with voting out for Brexit? What an absolute danger. And if this sounds a bit garbled, I do apologise, but I have your pro friend off my face.
Right, thanks Neil for the Danger Zone. So that's Ian Holloway there winning the Danger Zone, Kosi, for his Brexit / all sorts of VAR and Huddersfield Town comments and all sorts.
Didn't he win a Whopper of the Week as well last season? I'm sure he won one of the weeks.
No, I don't think he did. Jason Cundy must have been close though after his constant vendetta against Huddersfield, which just goes back to him sulking that we got a 1-1 draw with them.
Just on a kind of different point though, it's not going to do his job opportunities any good coming out with nonsense like that. And I don't think Sam Allardyce neither. And I think Talk Sport, they've got what they've wanted out in the big mouths, big quotes, but God, if I'm a chief exec, I'm thinking this guy's just. I know he was always a bit of a nutter anyway in Holloway and that, but what is he on about there?
He's done a big Sam in terms of ruling himself out of a job that he wasn't in the running for. But to be fair, some of the stuff that he did write about Huddersfield was quite complimentary about the club and stuff. But I think it was a bit tongue in cheek, some of it. But yeah, there's some top whoppering coming out, as Neil would say.
Martin, it's sad though that again, you can't look back much in football, but from that night against Chelsea, it's down to this. It's just like it's unbelievable.
I think that night at Chelsea, I think everybody was so burnt out from that survival season, from those 2 years of defying the odds, that those players are just. It's almost like a match, and how the match is just gone to the bottom and it's dead. That's almost like everybody. I think David Wagner. I think the fatigue of performing miracles was just. And then as soon as the Arsenal game came, and it was almost like a game off, if you like, and you still videos of Dipwacha drinking the next morning at training and stuff, and it just felt like they mentally checked out after that point.
But it's like now, because I keep having battles in my head, mate. It's a bit weird. It's like, no, there's some good players there, Cotty, and I'm thinking, no, there's not. Some of them are absolute rubbish.
But there's some that played.
There's not a team now, Matt,
way above their level.
It's like. Vanna Padov's still got a little bit of credit in the bank maybe from that first season, and maybe a little bit the second, but some of these other guys have just done absolutely nothing for us, and the worrying thing is don't look like doing anything, and you think, okay, I don't know, we'll come at management in a bit, but say Nigel Adkins coming, he walks in tomorrow, is he going to be able to, I suppose this is the big question, isn't it, and Benza, Diakabi, because they're suddenly going to change into amazing wingers, and are going to just blast us up the league. Because there don't seem to be any evidence of that. I mean, even taking into account confidence and where we're at with everything, there's not many moments, is the way you can just like.
They won't be playing for me.
No,
Diakabi maybe it's not been too bad.
One cross against Burnley. That's all I can think of that he's ever done anything. It's like
Man United goal, wasn't there? But
yeah, sorry, when he burst through two, but well, we've seen Sunderland go through, haven't we? And
Wolves, they did it as well.
Yeah, Wolves, and you don't want to be alarmist, do you? But
this
is obviously going to be a negative
threat.
podcast.
This is a very real threat that this could happen. If we don't look this in the eye now and realise what position we could be facing, then I hate to quote Dean Hoyle, but we could sleepwalk into League One. If we don't wake up and realise what is happening, we desperately. Well, I'll do the manager bit in a bit, but we desperately need a bit of a wake up.
Huddersfield's German defender Christopher Schindler has unbearable responsibility on his shoulders. Right-footed Schindler scores the goal that fires Huddersfield Town into the Premier League.
I'll move. Right, okay, so since Neil's not here, I'm going to do a bit of an AMC HSK update. I've not had it from Neil, so I've put this together. So if I've got anything wrong, Neil, I apologise. But Andy Takes That Chance, we like to align ourselves with two voluntary organisations, Huddersfield Street Kitchen and Andy's Man Club. Andy's Man Club had record numbers again, Cosy, through the door on Monday. They're due to embark on a tour around the UK as well to showcase the great work that they're doing. So keep up the great work to Andy's Man Club. And if you live in Huddersfield and you do feel like you want to go along, I believe there's no pressure to say anything. You can go listen. maybe get involved at a later point, it's at Huddersfield Fire Station on a Monday night, I believe 7 o'clock. Huddersfield Street Kitchen is on a Sunday, across from McDonald's as well. They've been really bolstered by the money generated from Huddersfield Town Football Club, and they also have a great asset in terms of their volunteers as well. So if you feel like you'd like to go to AMC or get involved with Huddersfield Street Kitchen, then please drop the podcast a direct message or get in touch with Neil directly, or you can DM at Bradford Terrier, and he will be more than grateful or more than happy to help out or have your help as well. So thank you very much to AMC and HSK for the great work that they do.
Now Darren Bullock. It's the last penalty, and if he scores from this, they are through to the final. And Huddersfield are there. Darren Bullock is the hero.
In goes Robbins. And coming from the free kick, taken short to Brown, and Robbins making a dart across the face of the defenders, a perfect header. Brown gets a flick, Fletcher!
Jepson's there, Billy's in! A goal, Chris Billy, Huddersfield Town! The most famous goal of Chris Billy's life.
Right, Kosi, there's too much misery on this pod today. I think it's because we've not got the big personality Neil with us. So let's cheer, let's bring a lighter side to it. Let's look at when things were good. Let's have a look at 1979, 1980 and 94, 95 again. So in our Those Were the Days section. So this week, huge thanks to Lee Morris, who sent us a copy of his book of Where Are They Now? Huddersfield Town AFC. You can buy this book in the club shop, on Amazon, Waterstones, and direct from Lee himself. Lee is on Twitter at Lee Morris, RIS __. We'll tweet this out later as well, but it's a really good book on players of what they've got up to in the past, and we'll be using this book throughout this feature as well. So if you like what you hear, you can find that on Amazon and Amazon, Waterstones, and also get in touch with Lee as well if you do fancy getting your hands on it. So Kosi, let's go back to 1979-1980. Huddersfield Town, this time during that period, beat Doncaster Rovers 3-0 with goals from Holmes, Cowling and Robbins, but then lost 2-0 to Lincoln, who would then be their main challengers at the top end of the league. Right, Kosi, let's have a look into a player who was maybe making his mark during that period. Huddersfield Town, a glorious season under Mick Buxton in 1979-80. There's a player that played for us called Ian Holmes. He's popped up this week and last week with a couple of goals. I don't know much about Ian Holmes. Why do we not consult this book, this magic book of Where Are They Now? And what can you tell me about Ian Holmes?
I can tell you he was born in Watton-Dearn in 1950, and he played for Sheffield United, York City and us. Played us for 12 years. He joined from York City in 1977, called Wally Holmes, his nickname. Had a couple of good seasons at Leeds Road before losing his place shortly into the 1979-80 promotion season. He left at the end of that season and played for non-league Gainsborough Trinity. Before he ended his playing days, Holmes worked as an insurance salesman for a time, but he's now working as a taxi driver in Sheffield and resides in his hometown of Watton-upon-Dearn. Tonight, for tea, he's having... No, he don't go that far, but... quite a good book, that, isn't it? It got me out of jail because my knowledge on him is not the best.
No, there we go. So thanks again, Lee, for that book. But 94-95 as well. So this is when we've started believing, if you like, 1994-95. Diva Stadium. I don't know if you remember this game at Chester City. Andy Booth and Ian Dunn. I do remember this on the video. Andy Booth going through one-on-one with the keeper and sliding it past him. A nice 2-1 win at Chester, which was followed up by our first ever home victory in the league against Leyton Orient at the new stadium. Andy Booth and then Paul Reed slamming one home late for a 2-1 win. Got any memories from those games, mate?
Yeah, I don't remember the Chester one, to be fair, but the Orient one, I think Paul Reed, quite a signing for us, wasn't he? I remember there was a lot of controversy.
Came from
wasn't
some
there?
ropey club, didn't
Yeah, it did, and they didn't like it whatsoever, and that as well. I'm going to go on one with Paul Reed. Obviously, that amazing goal he scored at Valley Parade when we were in the bus
he?
shelter.
Shoulder, yeah.
Yeah, we were in the bus shelter, and he gave one to the cop and slid on his knees in front of us. Good times. But yeah,
What's he up to now? What does the book say about Paul Reed?
Yeah, I really like Paul Reed. I think he did some radio stuff for Radio Leeds at times, filling as a summarise, and he talked a lot of sense in that as well. Because let's be honest, he wasn't the most gifted natural ability left-sided player we've ever seen. But you know what? He gave everything for Huddersfield Town, and often when you get a player from Bradford, you always need to check the receipt, don't you, to see what's
like Paul Showell, a piece of Paul
what
Showell.
story. So. Yeah, born in 1968, Bradford, Huddersfield, then went to Oldenbury. God, I'll talk about them later on probably. Could be, no longer exists sadly. But yeah, was signed from Bradford in 1994, was immediate pick for the first team and scored 2 goals in that game we mentioned last week against Blackpool when we beat 4-2. Then he was a captain after Phil Starbuck left, but he got injured towards the season and missed the playoffs when we won it.
Yeah, he did.
Remained at the club till 97 until he signed for Neil Warnock at Oldham and then followed Warnock to Bury in 99, playing for 3 years and making over 100 first team appearances. He had a 1-year spell at Swansea before heading to the Welsh League to play for Carmarthen Town and later Afan Lido. He later coached Port Talbot Town and had a spell as manager of former club Afan Lido, but he's now currently coaching at Swansea City's academy. So
he was, and then this week, obviously, the book is not an up-to-minute thing, so it's come out recently, but this week, Paul Reed has moved to Forest Green Rovers. So
right.
I very much doubt Paul Reed listens to this, but if he ever did, we'd wish him the very, very best of luck and hope that he does really well at Forest Green. So that's it for this week. So hopefully we'll be back next week with a couple more wins on those were the days.
Hi, I'm Sean Jarvis, and my favourite goal has to be from one of my friends, which is Tony Cars, and of course that left foot volley.
Right, Kosi, it's all been leading up to this, the new manager. I'll let you stew on who you fancy as the new manager for a minute, and what I'm going to do is I've got the opinions of our Andy Takes That Chance writers, and the website should be
I'll tell you what,
out
mate,
soon.
before you mention names, what are you wanting in this person?
All right,
tell me someone to win games, but what are you wanting?
Right, okay, so I'll go back to the bit I did on the Examiner bit as well. So, in my opinion, this is a really pivotal appointment. Like I said earlier, if the football club gets this wrong, then there's a very, very real chance that we could slip into free fall. We're already in a tailspin. If we get this wrong, we could go into free fall and drop. It's a very, very real possibility. You can add in that, I'm still going to flip this positively as well, because I mentioned as well that statistically relegated clubs from the Premier League struggle to bounce back the more that time passes, the more your parachutes run out. So not only does this new manager need to come in, get in amongst everybody, lift spirits, try and make them feel that they're better than maybe what they are, lift everything, be a fresh, be a leader of men, somebody who can add stability, knows the championship. Well, maybe doesn't even need to know the championship, but knows football, knows how to work with footballers, capable of this huge turnaround. If Town are to deny the stats to reclaim a position in the Premier League, then it needs to, statistics tell us that it needs to be done quite soon. So it's not to mention that we need someone who's brilliant at building morale, someone to pull pull them off the floor, if you like. In terms of confidence, it's 12 months since a Huddersfield Town team has gone out and looked confident on the field, and we need somebody who can instill this. And I think this club could be sleepwalking into something more serious if they just appoint another young coach from abroad, who's going to try and come in and imprint a couple of ideas. With all that in mind, it seems risky to me to go for, like I said, another up-and-coming manager, although I think there are some around who've got relative experience in England, such as the Cowleys, Daniel Stendhal. I think they're both good up-and-coming managers. Both have their merits, both probably unlikely. And instead, I think we need to look for a more experienced type of manager who can guide us through this and just turn everything 180 degrees around and have us going back up the table. Do we have the finances to pull in a name, if you like? The perfect name is Chris Hughton, isn't it? To me, he's the standout available candidate.
There's no way he's going to come, surely.
A man like him...
If we got him, it'd be amazing. Cool, but we
Why
won't.
not?
He's
Why not, though? Why not?
Mate, his stock's still high, I think, after Brighton. I honestly think that, he obviously did what he did there. He left. Obviously, he had to repair a bit of his reputation. He didn't go so well at Norwich, but...
Do you think another Premier League team's going to touch Chris Hughton?
I think a better top-end championship than us, mate, would. Well,
But
in a better state. That's a bit harsh. Better state, maybe,
This is part of my issue with Huddersfield Town at the minute. What is Huddersfield Town? What are we? We've been to the Premier League. Are we an aspiring Premier League club? Are we someone who's just happy to bob along in the Championship like we were under Robbins, Powell, etc.? What are we? What is Huddersfield Town now we've come down from the Premier League? What are our expectations? What are we building towards?
I think someone like a Hughton, though, Matt, is going to look. He's earned that right. Atkins has someone like that. We might mention him in a sec, but he's a different one for me because I just think Hughton will look at that and he'll think, "Can I with that group of players?"
I don't think he'll come. I'll put my hands up. I don't think he'll come.
But
if we asked him,
because I just think he'll look at what we've got and think, "Wow, that even if I get that motor in, I don't think that's any better than a mid-table team," and that's not what he's wants to be about. I don't think.
This is part of what. This is part of it. What are we? What are we aspiring to? I've heard noises. Phil Hodgkinson says, "I'm not in this to be average," which to me says, "I'm in this to get Huddersfield back up." I might have misread that. If we're trying to get back up, then we are not going out and appointing a Mark Robbins, a Chris Powell, someone like that, and it's happening. If Huddersfield Town wants to be serious in this league, wants to be a serious football team in this league, then they've got to go for people like this. You know what I mean? We struck lightning. It was a 1 in a million shot with David Wagner who got us promoted. If we go and get another uninspiring type, then what's the point?
I get a year, Matt, but we've just played two teams that came down into Premier League and they're better both times. They're in much better shape to have a state of promotion. I look at our squad and think, you look at Cardiff's, what they were bringing off the bench last night, Fulham. To me, I don't think a top manager just thinks that, right, I'm going to get Huddersfield into the top 6 with that squad. I really don't think he does.
Well, this then goes with what are we going to do?
The window's shut. Yeah,
the window's shut, but you can still get a couple of frees. There's a couple out there who are worth looking at. I think someone mentioned Danny Simpson.
Well, we've got one out with Campbell
and things, so we're short of a few players, but we've just made 20 million in that window, if you like. Surely some of it will be reinvested. I'm sure not all of it will because there's bills to pay and whatnot. And there's a lot of it will be accounted for. We've made quite a lot of money in that window. Surely there's enough. I know Siewert will need paying off, and so will Colin Bell, etc. But surely there's enough. If this football club is serious, like the noises that he made, then I know Chris Hughton's not going to apply for this job. But my point is, if you look at the world of business as well, medium to small companies advertise for a job. Big companies go and headhunt. They go and get who they want. What are we doing? Are we going to get who we want? Are we sitting back and inviting applicants? What are Huddersfield Town? If Huddersfield Town are going to be a medium club bobbing along in the Championship, then yeah, okay. But if this club is serious about achieving something, then they have to go get a name. I'm not saying Sam Allardyce, I'm not being stupid. Quique Sanchez Flores, that's completely unrealistic. Chris Hughton is a big stretch. He's southern based. He's done great jobs in the past. How many teams has he taken up? 3 from the Championship. Newcastle, Norwich. Did he take Norwich up, or was he? He came down.
No, Norwich were poor, wasn't he? Yeah, but
Brighton, and I thought he'd taken another one up. But that he's available. I know. West Brom, I think, spoke to him, and you would. West Brom obviously are far more attractive than us. Sheffield Wednesday's told them no. Sheffield Wednesday don't have masses of money, financial fair play issues. But
sorry,
the club's just. I don't know. I don't know where the club is,
mate. But we've won 5 games out of 58. He's going to look at that and think, right, I'm going to need 30-40 million in January, and we're not going to be able to give him that.
This is why I'm confused about with Huddersfield Town. It's all to do with identity. It's all to do with what we are. We've not had a solid identity since that Chelsea game. That we mentioned earlier. Everything seemed to get thrown out. The feet went up. And I think since then, we're completely confused about what kind of football club we are. what are we? As the Premier League maybe skewed my ambitions, other people's ambitions, maybe we are a club that should be bobbing around in the Championship. But what I want is a safe pair of hands. Chris Hughton is the best safe pair of hands I can see. It's probably unlikely, but I would still try. You know, you don't lose anything for trying. If he doesn't come, fair enough. If we don't try, then I think it just sends out the wrong message as to what this football club is. But he's the standout candidate for me. Nigel Adkins doesn't excite me at all. I know he's very positive and he'll come in and be positive, and that might turn a few heads. You know, he might get a few people on side. That ultra positivity, it might help to turn a few people around. He doesn't really excite me that much, Nigel Adkins. He did okay at Hull. I thought he did a fair job. He's not really done a good job since Southampton, in all honesty, which was 7 years ago, around about that. It might be a sensible one. I know he's worked with David Webb before. It just doesn't really thrill me, to be honest. It doesn't make me think that we're serious, if you know what I mean.
I don't like Nigel Adkins neither, but to me, he just seems... You know what would be a good thing to do, Matt? The ship is in really choppy waters, and I'm worried about, you know... I don't want league football again anytime soon, but, you know, people will be saying, come on, it's only 4 games and stuff, but you could argue that probably good to get someone like Adkins in, get everyone with a smile on their faces, get it solid like he did at Hull, change things, you know, get up to 14th, 15th, 12th or whatever it is, and then move him on and then get what you want in and that as well.
That's what we
this
need,
is the thing now. This is the issue for me. It's such a, well, we always say big appointment and what have you, but it is because it's... I just don't know if you're going to get the calibre of what you're wanting with where we're at with Mum, because more and more I see these group of players. I just don't think it's about a manager. I think we've just got some poor players, even though you can say, well, yeah, but Schindler got promoted and Org and that, but are their best days over, Matt? I
don't think they are. I think there are some good players there. I think Schindler, Congolo.
Yeah, there's some decent players, but from where
Carl
could that...
Grant's going to be a good
where
player.
should that... We're a good manager, mate. Where could we finish with that?
I think we could finish top 10. Generally finish top 10 with some of those. Yeah, if we play the right system, and they're mentally on the floor. This is the problem. It needs
but a top manager wouldn't just want to finish 10th, would he? You know, he'd want to come
and start, and then the year after you have to push on, don't you?
I suppose that's the only thing. And if like he's promised, you know, right, keep us up this year, or get us to 10th, build a spirit, build a structure. Really,
for me, it's a lot of it. The reason why I'm confused is we've got these parachute payments as well. I know Phil Hodgkinson said they're accounted for, etc. But we are going to carry a bigger wage bill during that period, and if people do move on, they should be replaced. Essentially, what I want is a safe pair of hands which allows Phil Hodgkinson or someone he can trust to run this football club and keep it safe for a while, so he can concentrate on matters off the field. I think the focus at the minute is all on the first 11 when Phil, you know, needs the time. He needs to be able to trust somebody to do the job and to keep us safe. You know, that steady pair of hands, while he focuses on getting everything right as well in other areas. And I think that's quite key as well. And for me, somebody like... I know Houghton's not going to come. I know he's not. But he's someone I would genuinely go for first. If we go for him and he says no, at least we've tried to get a top manager. Do you know what I mean?
I think it's unprecedented, though, that... Well, it won't be with other clubs, but we've gone down with 20-odd points. We got battered. We've lost... We're just losing game after game after game. It's not as if we were like there or thereabouts and we started this year with 1 win, 2 draws and 2 defeats or whatever and stuff. We're absolutely miles off as a bunch of players, and 2 managers have come in and, you know, had a little go, and there's no real signs. I just still wonder, surely the players have got to be better than what they have, or have we just got some bad players? Because I would hoping, like probably everyone else, was that the step down in standard would... Rather than me thinking we've not seen the best of it, it was the standard drop to me that I wanted to see improvements for. But then can a Leopard change its spots? Can and Benza ever get a good crossing or even get there to the byline? Can, you know, Diakabi do
I'm not
the same?
impressed by the Championship this season. From what I've seen in the first 4, I think this Championship is weaker than last year. And I said last year's Championship was probably one of the weakest for 10 years.
To be fair, Fulham look like they're...
Fulham are decent.
But
Leeds,
the thing is, though, they've got to teams have got to improve, though. That's just it. Surely there's not finished articles. Fulham, first half Friday were awful. Second half, they were really good. They looked like a team that... And obviously last night they went on the rampage and smash Millwall. I think won it 4-0, 5-0, was it something like that as well. So they're gonna, kind of move up. But it's the same every year. But as we saw with Sheffield United last year, and with those the season before or before that, wasn't it? But it's like, get a team spirit, get a way of playing, and get a manager who the lads would run through a brick wall and off you go.
I think we're on the same page. I just don't know who's attainable at the minute. I just don't know. Are we a team that's come down from the Premier League?
What's the betting market? I mean, obviously I don't go on them sites, but can't you pull it up? I mean,
yeah.
The guy did something today from Sky, said that Mark Hudson's leading the, one of the favourites.
So Mark Hudson's 3-1 favourite at the minute. I don't bet either, so the figure, these don't really mean
Just
much.
read the top 6 names.
So Mark Hudson's 3-1, Chris Hughton's second favourite 4-1, Phil Parkinson's coming today at 92. Yeah. Solid manager, boring football.
No, thank you.
Sol Campbell 10-1. I don't think it's going to be Sol. Nigel Adkins is then 16-1. I think that's if you are a betting man, that sounds like a decent
price. Especially with a web
me.
connection, mate. Yeah.
Gary Rowett 16-1. Again, boring football, but do you forsake that just for safety for a little while?
The Gary Rowett's an interesting one, isn't it? Because
Stoke didn't improve when he left.
No, and the people are saying, which is obviously rightly so after what happened with Birmingham, but once he gets a better opportunity, he'll leave you, and kind of you see that a lot. We like rugby league, don't you? See a lot of that with Super League.
If he's got us into a position where he's got a better offer, then we can't be doing too badly. I don't think we should ever be scared of people better.
No, I think he might want it. And to be honest, mate, I've never been a massive fan of his. But he'd be, I'm not saying a coup, but he'd be one that'd be like, all right,
No,
yeah. But I think it'd be like, right.
But I think if
you get an Atkins, it'd be like, okay, but
yeah, Atkins. I think the problem with Gary Rowett is his record's good. I thought he did a really good job at Birmingham, and then they sacked him on the fringe of the playoffs and ended up dropping down to almost the bottom 3, didn't they, when they brought, I think it was Zola they brought in. I think Gary Rowett's a solid choice.
Don't you just think maybe his experiences in the past could we could get a better manager, or then you could argue the other way, can't you?
Well, that's why I said Houghton. For me, Houghton's number one, and then you're looking at Adkins and Rowett afterwards in terms of the domestic market.
Houghton feels like a guy, I mean, it's almost talking pointless really because I can't see us getting him, but he'd be a guy, I think, he'd be a good training ground manager and he'd lift the guys, wouldn't he?
Exactly, this is what I mean.
They'd want to play for him, where Rowett to me, he might be like that. I mean, Burton guys will probably tell you it was everything like that, but I always get impression for him if he's like a bit of a rant and raver and a bit of an arse if things aren't going well, but obviously we don't really know the guys.
No, you don't know. I thought Sol Campbell was a complete plank based on what I'd seen on Sky Sports.
If I thought Siewert would have Campbell, then Campbell would have Campbell.
Yeah, I've seen him. Some of the stuff he's come out with, and then I saw a video of him, what it was like at Macclesfield, behind the scenes, what it was like with people there, what it was like on the training field, and I was actually really impressed by how everybody took to Sol Campbell and his professionalism. And I don't really want him because I think it's a big risk. But when you look at what he did at Macclesfield, in terms, I think there were 7 points clear at the bottom. They were almost dead and buried.
But look, Matt, the Nathan Jones, as you just read out that spiel earlier on in the pod, that sums up for me perfectly. You've got an up-and-coming young manager flying with Luton.
Do you think though that?
And if we did,
do you think they look at Jan Siewert and just go? Because it seemed to me a lot of them looked at Jan Siewert and went, "Who's this guy? I don't understand who this guy is." Sol Campbell was a very decorated footballer, one of the best English centre halves around. Big name, big contacts. I don't really want him, but if he did come in, I don't think he's going to get the job for a minute. But if he did come in, I don't think he's as bad as what some people have kind of come out. And I don't want him, but if he did,
but you're in gamble territory there. But then you suppose you can say every manager's a gamble, territory. But
yeah,
you've just got damaged goods or up and coming youth, or do you go again left field to abroad? Dan Francesco, I don't know what. People are saying that he just is using his name to say I'm here because I think he's been linked with a few in the past, and
he's got his agent or something. He's got a strange record of club hopping as well. George Donis.
Never trust anyone who played for Bradford, mate. I always say that. Apart from Paul Reed.
George Donis is a weird one. He's thrown his hat in the ring. He's at Panathinaikos. He's got an interesting record as George Donis.
Imagine that, him coming manager after all that.
Yeah.
Everyone remembers him as a player. It'd be incredible.
Well, it's like Alex Dyer when he came back as well, wasn't he? He was a
that's
terrible
his
player
name,
and he came back as a coach. Really
Imagine
nice guy.
that,
Alex Dyer.
George Donis.
But again, it's the whole weighing up of risk versus reward, isn't it? The greater the risk, the potential for the greater reward, such as David Wagner. George Donis, I'm not sure about that one, in all honesty. Some of the other names on the list are Sebastian Hoeneß, Bayern Munich 2 coach, apparently not great at Bayern Munich 2. Chris Coleman's come up. He was the one who came into the similar situation at Sunderland, couldn't turn it round.
Yeah.
Danny Cowley at Lincoln.
Chris Coleman would be an interesting one, wouldn't he? Because, I don't know, I just feel he's maybe a bit of a character, but the Sunderland thing and the documentary probably always be held against him, wouldn't it? But
I don't think he did that great. I remember at Coventry. I didn't think much of him at Coventry either. I'm not really a fan of. He did well at Wales. I think his time at Wales has kind of skewed how bad he's been in club management for me.
Yeah, fair point.
I don't want Chris Coleman. Eustace, the assistant manager at QPR, is a strange one. That's come up. John Eustace. Slavisa Jokanovic is 33-1 for some reason. He's not coming.
Could Mark Hudson get it?
No. I just don't. I like Mark Hudson a lot. I just don't think his time is now. I think it needs to be that safe pair of hands, whereas Hudson he was part of the Siewert and Wagner regimes. I think it needs someone to come in from the outside. I like Mark Hudson a lot, and I think he will make a good manager.
Next two games, they're obviously big games, Reading and Luton. I mean, some people have said to me, that we've had a really tough start, to be fair, and it's hard to... Because I'm kind of saying, well, I'll be happy just to maybe stay up at this rate, and people say, well, you've had a tough start, but it's like you said, Matt, I look, on paper, the names and what have you, Fulham, Cardiff, but I don't, Derby, but I'm being right impressed with their, kind of football, really, and that as well, so I don't kind of buy that for me, do you? No. So people think, Reading will be a lot easier. Yeah, maybe it will be in table-wise, but people go with that attitude, then we're in trouble more than we are now.
Yeah, so I've asked our writers who they would choose. So we've got 6 writers for Andy Takes That Chance. Morgan, who posts us Hotline HTFC. So what Morgan said is that he would like Daniel Stendel from Barnsley, which is an interesting one. I think Daniel Stendel's done a really good job at Barnsley. He's in that mould, but he's also in the mould of Wagner, but also Siewert in a way, which excites and worries me at the same time. Again, it's risk versus reward. He's done a great job, but I just think this is a job for experience. But Daniel Stendel, I think ordinarily, if everybody wasn't on the floor, I think that would be a really good shout. I just think with the way confidence is at the club, it's a big risk, but Morgan's gone for that one. Martin Sykes, our post-match reporter, makes a joke about Jose Mourinho in that he can't understand why someone who has that much money doesn't think, why don't I set myself a big challenge? Which I said ego is probably why. But he's gone for the Cowleys. So Dan Cowley is his choice, and I think the Cowleys are quite innovative. I watched the Coach's Voice with the Cowleys, and I think they're quite a clever duo. I think the way they went about things at Lincoln were at a really low ebb. I know it's further down the football pyramid, but they went into Lincoln at really low ebb, and they really looked at the football club, and they looked at the identity of the football club and decided what they wanted to do. And I really like what they did at Lincoln, and they're really doing great things. I know I think they lost MK Dons the other night, but they're doing really great things at the minute at the Cowleys. And from what I hear, there's a really big release clause if somebody wants them, and that would be a stumbling block. But the Cowleys, I think, I'd be excited by that, because if they came in, I think, again, risk versus reward, but I'd be quite excited if they came in.
Danny Cowley, God, it's just a confused picture, isn't it, really? I think it's every time we have a, manager, move on, sacked, what have you, and that as well. I don't think there's ever been a time where it's like we want X, Y, Z, but no, I think it just stems to, we don't really, I usually think I have, I'm usually wrong, but I usually think I have a good grasp of what and where we are. And when it came to David Wagner, I knew that was going to be, I just felt that was going to be good, and we needed to take that. Whereas now I'm just completely conflicted as to what we are and what the budget's all that matters. If we obviously
don't really know what that is.
Phil Hodgkinson went on that stage and said it's all gone, the money. He said before
But
the
he
season.
also said we've got the biggest wage bill in our history, which is probably
Yeah.
going to be close to 30 million quid.
And part of your hopes that Phil, is he just kind of expectation level? Is he kind of setting that, and inside he's probably tucked away X amount of million, but I just can't see it, and
I don't
that
know.
obviously dictates who you get, and I think a lot of people will see. God, it's again not what people want to hear, but I think people will see us as they had their moment in the sun. It was a miracle promotion, and they probably don't see them as a club like maybe where Stoke or what have you that could get back up there, or someone else. I don't think your big names will think we can get them back up, and I'd love to be proven wrong and we'll wheel out some, stellar appointment. But I'm expecting an Atkins or someone of that ilk, to be honest.
I have a sneaky feeling that if we can't get who we want, it'll end up as Nigel Atkins. One man who
And his podcast will be so lively because he is.
He's
a
ultra
character,
positive,
yeah.
isn't he? Yeah, he's ultra positive. I think his positivity will wind up Huddersfield Town fans. I really do. I think it might be what some of the players need, but I also think he'll really wind up. Can you imagine losing 4-5-0 at Sheffield Wednesday or Leeds or something, and he's sat there talking about positives and mental energy and stuff? I think it'll just really wind some people up. But let's finish off with our writers. So Football Charlie is also one of our writers, and he has said that he'd like Nigel Adkins. He thinks the squad need a positive voice to draw more out of them. They have no confidence, and he thinks he'd build that back up. So he knows the league, knows the new head of football operations. It sounds a sensible appointment, does Nigel Adkins, in a lot of respect, but not exciting. Elliot is Elliot HTAFC, one of ours as well. He's gone for Dan Petrescu. He's gone out of the box. Like you said, I don't know if it's realistic, but he says Dan Petrescu has been linked with several jobs in England, excellent record in Eastern Europe, would look to breed a much needed winning mentality and favours a 4-2-3-1 system, which you would arguably favours this squad. Our last two writers, Nathan Siewert and Brady Frost, who are two new ones. Brady's gone for Danny Cowley as well. He says he's a bit of a risk taker, whereas Town probably needs stability at the moment. He thinks Danny Cowley and his brother would be good appointments. He thinks they'd come. Based on they've got more to work with than what they do at Lincoln. And Nathan at Flying POTUS says ideally Chris Hughton, but he doesn't think he takes the job. So in that case, Nigel Adkins, which is pretty much where I'm at. But none of the options available inspire him with that much hope. So it feels like one of those podcasts, mate. So
the trouble is, Matt, another couple of games without win, say we get a draw and I don't know, lose at Luton or 2 draws or something, it'll make I think people will be like, yeah, please get Nigel Adkins rather than, if we win and 2. I don't know. I think it's...
from what I understand, we're going to be interviewing very, very shortly, but if we do win the next 2 games, Reading and Luton, are you tempted then by Mark Hudson? Because, like you said, we have had that tough start.
Depends how we look, mate. And I hate to judge on this. Goes everything
I like
against.
the guy a lot.
What did you see different last night that you didn't see under Jan Siewert?
The only thing I saw was round pegs, round holes in terms of the system that he played. But then I didn't see what I wanted to see in terms of getting in people's faces
only on
more.
training ground Saturday, wasn't he? Or that probably Sunday after Friday night.
Exactly. He's not had long, has he? I think he's picked a system which suits them more. So for me, there's... His basis is more on players than system there, which I think is good. But
it's just a nightmare at the club at the moment because I'd like same with Phil Hodgkinson and David Wagner. Everyone's just judging everyone on David and Dean, aren't they? Simple as that. And the chairman's getting judged on Dean all ridiculously so early. And
it's an unfair comparison. Dean Hall's had 10 years.
Jan Siewert were always gonna as soon as
it was
came from.
Yeah, of course. I'm Phil Hodgkinson as well. He's been here 6-7 weeks. It's Dean Hoyle, I think there's similarities between them. I think Phil Hodgkinson's coming. He's excited. He's taking on his boyhood club. He's really excited to get in amongst. Dean Hoyle was so excited when he first came as well.
You seen anything from Jan? Any quotes? Anything? Or
no, I don't think he's a big enough. I don't think Huddersfield and Jan are big enough names in some circles of the media that people are that bothered. To be honest, I think it'll probably come out.
It'll be normally usual. Anyway, won't it? I wish him all the best because I want my contract to pay off and that. But
so let's read some of the tweets out that we've had on this. So we've had a good response. Thank you to everybody that's got in touch. I'm going to try and read out as many as possible because we didn't get through too many last week. So Terrierblog.co.uk says Phil Parkinson, let's invite him to an interview and send him into a room with an empty chair. Mike Terrier 7N2 has been very, very consistent for the last 10 months. Well, not 10 months, but the last while. That says that he wants Danny Cowley. He's not sure he'll leave Lincoln at the minute to join us, but then Adkins, with his positive attitude, his PMA.
It's a good point, that. Yeah, God, you'd have never thought that, wouldn't you, a couple of years ago, National League versus Premier, but yeah.
Jacob Rogers says Chris Hughton, it needs experience as it's a big job, and it needs people, managers to get on side with the players and get them playing again. He's asked about the special edition of Phil Hodgkinson, which we're just waiting on a date for, but hopefully should be quite soon. Ollie Fisher, I believe you saw this specific danger in Scarborough, Kosi, wearing a full AC Milan tracksuit.
Yeah, I thought Marco van Basten were watching the old bat on ball, but
Marco
yeah,
van something,
Ollie were
yeah.
there. He loves his cricket, to be fair. He's always supported Yorkshire cricket.
Loves
so
AC
he'll do
Milan.
for me.
Loves AC Milan as well, so he's recommended Gattuso, which it just wouldn't happen, which is more of a joke, really. Will Shaw says the Cowleys. William Bradbury says Bob Hope, because at least we'd then have one. John Smith at Cupplate Cake. Love these tweets that he sends through. Keep them coming. He says his preference would be the Cowley brothers. What they have done is remarkable and they are very innovative. Second choice would be Mark Hudson. He learnt so much as a player and coach under Wagner. Third would be Lee Bowyer. Again, amazing results. I'm not sure how the Leeds thing and what he did up here at Majestic nightclub will go down very well. Finally, Stendhal at Barnsley, closest thing to Wagner. Jack Boothroyd says we need a manager that has a simple football philosophy. The team can't get the basics right, i.e. Bakuna's error leading to the first goal. Therefore, we need
it's fair enough.
to perfect the basic
just
parts.
passing, man, to each other.
However, in terms of who will sign, he doesn't know. He doesn't think we'll attract Houghton, and I'm not sure the strong links are to Karanka. As far as I'm aware, Karanka's not going to be in the running. But we could do a lot worse than Gary Rowett, or failing that Jose Mourinho. But I think
The Rowett one just does intrigue me a little bit.
it ticks boxes, doesn't it? It ticks boxes.
Because
what
you
they're
do
talking
wonder,
about.
can he... Yeah, obviously under the cloud, what he'd done before and stuff. But
The football's boring, but we might have to sacrifice that just
Yeah.
to get safe. So, Daniel,
it won't surprise me if we interviewed him, Matt.
no, we'll see how he does.
Because
but
let's be honest, for Gary Rowett, he's got to rebuild his reputation. He had obviously a debacle at, Stoke.
yeah.
And
But
let's
like I
be
say,
fair,
what-
who else is going to take him on? So I think he will apply for it, personally.
I think he will, and I think he'd be worth speaking to see what he would do.
Yeah. He
So,
says, I'll come in and I'll win you some games and I'll walk out. That's
so Dan Peckett says no chance Houghton comes to us now. He'd like it to be Karanka. Matt Smith says Houghton he'd be very pleased with, but more realistically, Adkins with the web connection. Wouldn't be surprised if he went abroad again. Scott Nixon says who we want and who we will get are two very different things. I'd like us to go to for Houghton or Cowley, but more chance of Adkins or Parkinson. Houghton is proven and an old head to steady the ship.
Parkinson, God, I'm Benny.
But Parkinson, I'd rather have Rowett than Parkinson. David Moyes for me from Steve Gerrard ST1.
He knows his stuff, Steve, though.
I might have to check this account here, which seems like a Huddersfield Town fan. But okay.
No, he's a good lad. He's Steve. He's a great friend of ours.
Is he? David Moyes isn't going to come here, is he? I know what he means in terms of very experienced football man who knows how to manage a club.
How much do you want to get back into the management? That's the thing, though, isn't it? If his CV lands at your desk, he'd be like, "Oh my word!"
He'd probably get paid just as much doing his bit on Sky and talk.
Yeah, part of me wonders if he'll want a job in China or kind of that kind of football now, because they love taking ex-Premier League.
But he makes a valid point. I know people will look at David Moyes and go, "No way, David Moyes," but the job he did at West Ham, despite being boring, was reasonably pretty good. And there's a good. He's right in what he says. There's a good, experienced football man there who knows how to run a football club. Stephen Wright says I'd like Houghton, but probably won't happen. Four Candle says Adkins or Parky aren't bad choices, both decent jobs. Where they're being Cowleys would be expensive. Not sure whether they'd leave Lincoln. Up the Town Rob says I know it's impossible, but Jerry Murphy. I don't think Jerry's going to
be good for a win against Leeds, though, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
We'll get him in for Derby.
Dave Herbert says Herbert says Houghton, Karanka, or the Cowley brothers in that order. We can't appoint Hudson. And Alan Lee 19. He wants Houghton, but we'll get Parkinson or Adkins.
Parkinson, after they never turned up. I know maybe you should get over that, but come on, man. He doesn't even come.
Well, he rang up the night before. That was more Ken Davey being a weapon.
Yeah, maybe so. But I mean,
because they'd arranged the conference and they just didn't cancel it. And then
he's so uninspiring. But then you could say quite a few of them have been read out or not. So the thing is, his stock's improved massively despite Bolton going down, and because obviously issues that they've had there. So he's walked out a bit of a kind of legend, really. I think he's played it clever, to be honest, as Parkinson there.
Probably has. Anthony O'Neill says he'd never want Karanka. He's lost the dressing room at last 2 or 3 clubs. He's mentioned Gary
we're
Rowett.
good at doing that with his last manager. So
Josh Phillips says Houghton has got a proven track record of success everywhere he's been, filling that Gary Rowett.
Oh, if we could get him, yeah. Well.
Terrier Pete says he's not overly enthusiastic by the list so far.
We met.
Miles Dixon says, looking at a lot of previously relegated teams that have struggled, should the current position have been expected, and should the expectation have been set at just not going down again? Possibly, but I think a lot of people have been disappointed if we'd have said at the start of the season we just concentrated on not getting relegated again.
Yeah, I think the big thing is that, because obviously we've had the same tonight, but there's been 5 games, obviously including the cup one, and you're kind of retaking. Because it's funny, I've done a little bit for plug it now, but Sky Sports website probably on at the weekend. But they asked me, says kind of now have you readjusted your kind of sites? Well, my sites were on 9th, and I'm kind of thinking now the ship's so rocky. Then mine, even after 5 games, I'm readjusting. Give me a solid 13th, 14th place finish. But if we'd have said that when we were 2-0 up at Wolves, if you said right, we'll be happy to finish 14th the season after, you'd be like, shut up. But it's all, that's just where I am with it. It's all confusing, really.
Okay, so we'll just round up the last one. So again, thanks for everybody that's tweeted and got in touch with us. So just to finish off here, we'll go with Douth CD says the Cowley brothers. He's mentioned Stendhal as a good chance and Honus as an outside choice, but I'm not sure that'll happen. Someone else has mentioned Cuco Ziganda. I think you could probably fill people in more with your love of Spanish football, Kosi, the Bilbao manager. I don't think that sounds unlikely to me, but
no, I don't think so. I mean, you mentioned the kind of language there, but obviously Bielsa's not doing a kind of a bad job on that as well. One thing he would do is make us more organised than that as well, and he would have us, playing better football. But yeah, it's a bit again. I suppose you could say any manager's kind of a random pick, but I think we just need tried and trusted. So if it were like a game of manager guess who, I'd be flipping quite a lot of these faces down on the board and probably be left with Atkins staring at me and a Houghton. Well, not unfortunately, because that'd be someone we'd like. But I'll tell you totally random, nothing to do with manager, but Mounier, not on a bench last night. You've got to wonder if he's kicked his last ball for us.
Yeah, I think he's
I'm expecting a transfer soon, European team or something.
It'd be sad because you were looking at the game last night against Cardiff and you were thinking we can't, Pritchard, Grant can't hold the ball up. The ball's constantly coming back at us.
Who else have we got? I know we only play one up, but I mean, obviously Karuma, but who else have we got like as a forward? That's what I mean.
Colin and Kachunga, but
that's
about it, isn't
Move
it?
on.
Yeah, so thanks to Bronte Terrier, who mentioned anybody with a proven track record, and Rochdale Terrier says someone who knows the Championship inside or out, like Adkins, Rowett or Houghton. So thanks to everybody that's got in touch there as well. So one other person that got in touch who is not here tonight because he is a massive whopper is Neil Wayne, and he's what Neil said is for the manager, someone who's experienced in the Championship, good with youth as well. As I think that will be vital. So with a lot of the signings we've made of people sort of between the ages of 20 and 23, someone who can bring those through, somebody who can play more than one way and adapt to different teams, etc. And also, more importantly, plays Terence Congolo at centre-back.
It's just so frustrating, Matt, though, because and I'm not just saying it after the Longman show, you pick your back issues as the pod, but in January last year we were down when we appointed Siewert. We should have been thinking of this ready to rumble in, this season. I just can't believe we've got to do all this to find us, it needed experience then. I am not just saying it now. I said it at the time, and so frustrating that, it's ended like, it's almost like we've been promoted from League One just finding us feet, and it should never have been like that. But it is what it is, as they say.
Edge of the box, a header clear by Capu, and Watford will chase out. The Platter's in there. Here's Zanka to turn it into the path. Yes! And Clements scored! Clements has scored one of the most important goals of Huddersfield Town's history. It's a big, big brick in the wall of Huddersfield Town's determination to stay in the Premier League.
Yeah, so there is an article. So over the last 2 years, Kosi, there's Sports Witness have done some decent, well, I'll say decent, but they've done some accurate articles on us over the last few years. They seem to have broken a few things, and they've just brought out a story that says, we've just mentioned Kuko Ziganda. So there's a few strange quotes coming out. So it just says, according to AS, Ziganda has been living in England up until April, where he was preparing to manage this side of the channel, wanting to try a new adventure after his time at Bilbao. It's explained Huddersfield would be a major first challenge in his English career, and the Spanish outlet explains that there are more names beside those of Karanka and Ziganda being considered, and the club's board plan to meet with them and make a decision. So that's another one that seems to have come up again, Kuko Ziganda.
I think there's going to be a lot of people looking at the Bielsa template out there, and there's a lot in common, obviously, Bilbao and Basque and what have you, but...
Does he play the same way?
Not really, no. But they do. He just organise them very well as well. He doesn't... he won't duck any conversations, I'll say, in the dressing room, really, and that as well. And, a bit of an hero up there. But, yeah, he's very similar template to Bielsa, I've got to be honest. But, again, we're in gamble territory, aren't we, really, there?
Mm.
Lindelof misses his header. De Quattro's in. Round De Gea. 2-0 Huddersfield Town. 2-0 Huddersfield Town. A defensive slip by Lindelof. And Laurent De Quattro, the big Belgian striker for Huddersfield Town, has taken his chance. And how? 2-0. Town lead Manchester United.
So we'll move on to Reading. So what are you expecting to see on Saturday against Reading?
A lot of empty seats. But I'd like to see Fraser Campbell, but would Hudson have the balls to stick him on? Kind of start. I'd love to see Campbell and Grant go, up the top. After last night, Matt, I don't know what you felt, but I just feel there's places to play. Where were Dick Carby last night? Were he injured or just?
No, just preferred Mbenza, don't he?
Yeah. But I mean, you can't see Mbenza starting after what he did last night, can you? And that as well. Johnny Hogg, Bakuna. The trouble is, you're just swapping the same deck chairs, aren't you, on the Titanic? What would you do, mate?
I genuinely don't know. I'm not a fan of Haderjanai. I attempted to put someone else at right back, but who do you put at right back? Bokon didn't really do well against Lincoln. Bakuna, he's made an awful start to the season. I want Terence Congolo at centre back, but is Jayden Brown ready to play left back? There's a lot of questions, but the back four, I think, is the first thing that we need to get set, really, or the back three. So the wingers are performing that poorly. Grant needs help up front. Do you go 3-5-2? That's the other thing. Pritchard then has more support around him as well. So 3-5-2 is a temptation for me, but then we don't really have a natural left wing back either. So there's a lot of things you could do, but there's not a lot of things that you could say with absolute certainty we should do, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I'm just kind of just go back to Ziganda. We're just kind of on there. A bit of a similar kind of when we receive it on Wagner, really, because he coached Bilbao Athletic, so it's kind of their B team, and to great heights. He was in the club, brought through loads of players, because obviously they currently have Basque players there, so it's massively important. He brought through quite a few, so he did that. But once you kind of coached the kind of first team, it didn't go the best in that as well. But he's still a bit of a club legend for the players that he kind of brought through in kind of the B team. So I suppose you would be looking at maybe a similar template to what we've had before. So. But I think he's wanting to broaden his horizons in Europe, so it would be unlikely, but interesting what you should say there. But yeah, going back to Reading, I just think we just need to win, whatever it takes, however scrappy it is. I just think the crowd just want to see a bit of excitement, really, and that people playing some some nice passing, some front foot football. it'll be interesting. I'd like to see O'Brien brought back in. A bit unlucky, I think, to be kind of left out, but maybe just give him a bit of a breather. He played kind of a few games, but I don't know. It's on last night's evidence and this season's evidence, Johnny Ogg won't get in my starting lineup, but you can't drop everyone, mate, can you?
No, because others have got to come in.
Yeah.
No, it's a tough one, but there's a chance against Reading that we can get. Reading, I saw little bits against Cardiff. They beat Cardiff. Did they beat them 2-3-0?
Yeah, they should have beat West Brom last night. They got a late goal. I think Zakara got one off the bench for West Brom, but I think Reading were good from what I've heard last night. So, again, I don't think it'd be an easy game. I think naturally you just think Reading, they've not, it's one that we can win, but Championship football, in it, and that as well. Anyone, can beat anyone.
Yeah, they didn't look a bad side. They didn't look a bad side, so it's not going to be an easy game, but it's something we could potentially. It's one we can potentially win. So let's hopefully go out on a good note here, and hopefully let's see for something a bit different on Saturday. A good response and hopefully 3 points.
Yeah, just have a look at their team. Anyone that stands out, Yeadom, I think he wanted right back at Barnsley a bit and that as well. But apart from that, I'm really struggling a lot.
John Swift, I like John Swift.
Yeah.
Good player.
Yeah, it's Swift there at the back. You've got Michael Morrison. He's been around a bit, hasn't he?
Pushkas is
Sheffield Wednesday.
Brought in,
yeah, a lot of names. Richards, let's have a look at him. Omar Richards, not heard of him before, but yeah, don't look to me any names. Is it Luke Moore they've got there?
Liam Moore.
Liam Moore, yeah, 3 centre backs. Yeah, according to their stats, I started doing my great research here, Matt, just off the app, just flown up there. They played a 3-5-2 last night, and apparently they were unlucky, really. Had 5 attempts, so they come with that formation that causes issues, but God, whatever it takes, wouldn't it be nice just to be walking out of there 10-5 Saturday with 3 points, because the longer it goes on this, people are going to be just panicking, and maybe a new manager or someone, it'd be interesting, I think, in the stands as well, won't it? Mr. Chicken and his photographers might be having a fun day. Just seeing, because anyone, God, if you were going for a job, mate, you'd be there, wouldn't you, on Saturday?
Yeah, unless you're Martin Allen in it, wearing your gardening clothes
in the peacock on his third pint. All right, lads.
Right, we'll call it an end there. Thanks for everybody for getting in touch, and we'll speak to you again next week.
Cheers.
Is this the moment for Lee Fowler? It is. Take your place in Division 2, Huddersfield Town.
He's missed. Steve Simonson clears the flame of the goal and collapses in a heap of tears.
Payne's got a chance. Payne scores. Jack Payne scores.
Heffer's in there.
Smith scores for Huddersfield Town. 3-2 Town. Forestieri, Danny Ward saves! Danny Ward saves! De Quattro's in, round De Gea! 2-0 Huddersfield Town!
Christopher Schindler has a chance to write his name in Huddersfield Town legend.